Have you ever wondered what happens after death? Does consciousness really cease when the body dies, or is it possible that our awareness transcends the physical form? In the West, death is often seen as an absolute end, but in Buddhism, death is merely a transition, part of a much larger cycle of existence known as Samsara, the endless wheel of birth, death, and rebirth. What if life, death, and rebirth are not separate but interconnected stages in the ongoing journey of our consciousness? Today, we explore the deep Buddhist teachings about reincarnation, consciousness, and the profound transformation these teachings can bring to our present lives. The Buddhist understanding of reincarnation and consciousness. In Buddhism, reincarnation is not the straightforward notion of a soul moving into a new body with a fresh identity, as it's often depicted in popular culture. Instead, it is the continuation of consciousness, a process through which our awareness carries on its journey from one life to the next. This perspective is rooted in the Buddha's insights gained during his enlightenment. When he realized that his consciousness had traversed numerous lives, each of which left an imprint on his being, shaping the path that followed. The teachings of the Buddha offer profound insight into the nature of existence, which goes far beyond the boundaries of our present life. This ongoing journey of consciousness through multiple lifetimes is what we call samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, according to Buddhism. Each life is not a new beginning, but rather a continuation of the karmic forces accumulated from previous ones. The core of this understanding is that there is no permanent self or unchanging soul, but rather a continuous process of change, influenced by karma and dependent origination. Karma in the Buddhist sense refers to the actions, thoughts, and intentions we carry from one life to the next, shaping our experiences. Buddha described karma as being like a candle being lit from another. While the flames may differ, they are undeniably connected. Similarly, every thought, desire, and action in our present life is not isolated but is part of a larger continuum, influenced by past actions and determining the future. For instance, take a figure like Steve Jobs. His success was not a mere product of his intelligence in one single life, but a continuation of efforts, wisdom, and intentions built over countless lifetimes. His ability to innovate, his relentless pursuit of perfection, and his vision were not isolated traits that appeared out of nowhere. According to Buddhist philosophy, they were cultivated over time through his past lives. His story is a perfect example of how karma and consciousness transcend individual lifetimes, shaping a person's journey across centuries. Personal insight: when I first encountered the concept of reincarnation in Buddhism, I found it somewhat abstract. But as I began reflecting on the patterns in my own life, the recurring fears, the unexplained talents, and certain circumstances that seemed beyond the ordinary, I started to recognize how this idea connected to my personal experiences. It's like looking at a puzzle where each piece doesn't make sense on its own, but when placed together, it reveals a deeper story. Buddhism offers a way of making sense of those pieces. These aren't random events or mere coincidences, but rather echoes from past lives, signaling how our actions, no matter how seemingly small, create ripples that affect our future. The cycle of rebirth and karma. The Buddha's teachings on reincarnation are intricately linked with the law of karma, which holds that our actions, whether positive or negative, have consequences that stretch beyond our current life. Karma is not a punishment or reward system, but a natural law of cause and effect, shaping our existence and experiences through each life. Every action, every thought, and every intention leaves an imprint on our consciousness, which in turn influences future lifetimes. In essence, karma operates like a seed. The actions you perform in one lifetime are like seeds planted in the soil of your consciousness. These seeds grow into circumstances that shape your experiences, relationships, and challenges in future lives. The Buddha likened it to lighting a candle with another. The flame may be different, but there's an undeniable connection between the two. Similarly, our current life is not separate from the ones that came before. It is deeply connected to the actions and experiences of past existences. Let's consider a modern-day example, Oprah Winfrey. From her early life marked by struggles and adversity to becoming one of the most influential women in the world, Oprah's life is often seen as a journey of personal transformation. Buddhism suggests that her path wasn't merely about overcoming challenges in this life, but also a continuation of efforts from past lifetimes. Her compassion, her drive to help others, and her ability to connect deeply with people might be the result of accumulated wisdom and intention cultivated over many lifetimes. Buddhism's concept of karma is not only about personal actions, but also about how everything is interconnected. The Buddha's doctrine of dependent origination teaches that all things arise in dependence on conditions and are interrelated. This means that our present lives are not simply shaped by our actions in this lifetime, but are also influenced by the actions of others in the past, as well as the karmic imprints of our own past lives. Our actions in one life are like threads woven into the fabric of existence that carry on through time and space, creating patterns that affect our relationships, circumstances, and spiritual development. In this way, karma is not simply about individual actions, it is also a communal process. Our actions influence not only our own lives, but also the lives of others. This is why, in Buddhist practice, there's an emphasis on cultivating virtues like compassion and kindness. By acting with awareness and goodwill, we not only improve our own karmic conditions, but also contribute to the collective well-being of the world around us. An example from history would be Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison for his fight against apartheid in South Africa. Mandela's compassion for both his people and his former oppressors, as well as his dedication to the cause of justice and equality, seemed to flow effortlessly from him. From a Buddhist perspective, Mandela's actions may have been shaped by the karmic imprints of his past lives. His unwavering commitment to peace and justice, even in the face of great adversity, was not just a product of his political ideology, but also a continuation of spiritual principles developed over lifetimes. Through the law of karma, we come to understand that our actions today are not isolated. They are deeply influenced by the actions of those who came before us and will continue to shape the lives of those who come after us. This awareness of interconnection can encourage a deep sense of responsibility in how we live our lives. It's not just about making choices for our own benefit, but about understanding the wider impact of our actions on the world around us. Karma and dependent origination. The concept of dependent origination is one of the cornerstones of Buddhist philosophy. It teaches that all things arise due to causes and conditions, and that nothing exists independently. Everything is interconnected and interdependent, and this includes our actions and their consequences. Buddhism asserts that our actions are not isolated from the world around us, but instead are part of a much larger web of relationships, conditions, and circumstances. This understanding can transform the way we view our actions. Rather than seeing our life as a series of unrelated events, we begin to recognize the intricate web of causes and effects that shape our experiences. To illustrate this, let's take a prominent figure like Malala Yousafzai. Malala's activism for girls' education in Pakistan has inspired millions worldwide. Yet it is deeply rooted in her own personal experiences and the collective struggles of those before her. Her courage and commitment to her cause may have been shaped by the karmic influence of past lives, just as the challenges she faced in her current life have been shaped by the broader context of cultural and societal conditions. The web of interconnection between Malala's life and the lives of others, those she has helped, as well as those who have shaped her, exemplifies how dependent origination operates in the real world. By understanding dependent origination, we can begin to see our actions as part of a larger process, one that extends beyond our current existence and reverberates through time. The Buddha's teachings encourage us to act with awareness, understanding that the seeds we plant today will bear fruit in the future. Just as we are influenced by the actions of those before us, we also influence the world that will come after us. By embracing this interconnectedness, we gain the power to shape our lives and the lives of others in positive ways. Signs of past lives, recognizing patterns in the present. The exploration of past lives within the context of Buddhism offers fascinating insights into how our present lives may be influenced by experiences, fears, skills, and attractions that transcend our current existence. The signs of past life memories are subtle, often woven into the fabric of our everyday experiences, and may reveal themselves in ways that challenge the idea of a single, isolated life. Buddhism provides a unique perspective on how these signs could be karmic imprints from previous lifetimes, influencing our consciousness in ways that are not always immediately apparent. In recognizing these signs, we begin to acknowledge that our current fears, desires, and behaviors are part of a larger, ongoing narrative. The Buddhist understanding of past lives suggests that the soul or consciousness does not vanish upon death, but rather continues its journey through the cycles of reincarnation, carrying with it traces of past actions, experiences, and unresolved karmic patterns. These traces are not always obvious, but may manifest in ways that seem inexplicable or beyond the scope of this lifetime. Let's dive deeper into some of the key signs that suggest we might be carrying imprints from previous lives. Unexplained fears. One of the most common signs of past life imprints is the presence of unexplained phobias or intense fears that have no apparent cause in this life. It is not unusual for people to experience irrational fears such as a fear of water aquaphobia, heights acrophobia, or even certain animals or places, without ever having had a traumatic experience directly linked to those things. These fears often arise seemingly out of nowhere, as though they have been imprinted on the subconscious mind. From a Buddhist perspective, these irrational fears are believed to be the result of experiences or traumas suffered in previous lives. The law of karma, as taught by the Buddha, holds that our actions in one life have consequences that reverberate through time, affecting future lives in subtle ways. These fears could be connected to how a person died in a past life, if someone drowned in a previous life, for instance. It would not be surprising if they developed a fear of water in this life, even without a conscious memory of their past demise. Consider the case of famous American actress and singer Shirley MacLaine, who has spoken publicly about her experiences with past lives. She describes how, during her life, she developed an intense fear of flying, even though she had never been in a plane crash or had any other logical reason for the phobia. After exploring past life regression, she discovered that the fear stemmed from a traumatic death in a past life where she had died in a plane crash. This connection between past experiences and current fears is exactly what Buddhist teachings suggest, that our present fears are often echoes of past lives, carried forward into this lifetime as unresolved karmic imprints. Recurring dreams. Another common sign that one might be experiencing traces of a past life is the occurrence of recurring dreams that feature a different time, place, or even an entirely different persona. These dreams are not ordinary dreams. They are vivid, repetitive, and often feel strangely familiar, as though they have an emotional and spiritual weight. In some cases, individuals might even dream of situations, places, or people they have never encountered in their current life, but which feel intimately familiar. Buddhism holds that dreams, particularly recurring ones, can serve as windows into past lives. According to Buddhist dream yoga, the mind is capable of transcending the limitations of the physical body during sleep, allowing it to travel through time and space. In this state, the subconscious may revisit past lives, offering glimpses of who we were before. These dreams could reveal unresolved experiences or karmic patterns that need attention, providing us with insights into our past. An example of this concept can be found in the life of Mark Zuckerberg, the co-founder of Facebook. He has often described how he has vivid memories of programming and coding, despite the fact that his exposure to computer technology came later in life, through exploration. Some spiritual theorists believe that Zuckerberg's apparent, natural ability to code might be connected to past life experiences in a time or place where he was involved in technology or innovation, an imprint carried into this life. For many, recurring dreams provide a direct and powerful connection to their previous existences. Take, for example, a personal story I encountered during my own exploration of past life regression. I remember having a recurring dream as a child where I was caught in an ancient battle, feeling both immense fear and a sense of loss. These dreams were so vivid that they left a lasting emotional imprint on me. As I grew older, I learned about past life regression techniques, which revealed to me that the feelings of fear and loss I had experienced in those dreams could be traced to a life I may have lived in a distant past, where I was part of a battlefield or military conflict. For those who have had similar dreams, Buddhism teaches that paying close attention to these dreams, especially those that repeat with emotional intensity, can provide valuable insights into past lives. Dream yoga practitioners believe that such dreams are significant markers, showing where the barriers between lives are thinner, allowing us to glimpse the echoes of our former selves. See instant recognition. Another powerful sign of past life connections is the phenomenon of instant recognition or connection with a person, place, or object. This is the experience of meeting someone for the first time and feeling an overwhelming sense of familiarity, as if you've known them for a long time, even though you've never met before. Similarly, you might visit a place for the first time and immediately feel a strong connection, as if you've lived there before. Or you might have a sense of familiarity with a culture or time period you have never consciously encountered. The Buddha taught that souls travel together through many lifetimes. This means that people who are drawn to one another or who feel an intense connection may have crossed paths in previous lives. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, are often seen as karmic bonds that extend beyond a single lifetime. These connections can be viewed through the lens of prakriti samutpada or dependent origination, where past actions and relationships create the conditions for future connections. Consider the famous case of Princess Diana and her relationship with the British royal family. Many have speculated about the deep, karmic connections between Diana and other members of the royal family, especially her tumultuous relationship with Prince Charles. Some spiritual theorists suggest that the dynamics between them may have stemmed from unresolved karmic patterns from past lives, where their souls had interacted in different forms, creating an unexplainable pull or tension. A more personal example comes from the life of Oprah Winfrey and her relationship with Maya Angelou. When Oprah met Maya Angelou, it felt like an instant connection, even though they had never met before. Oprah herself has spoken about how she immediately felt a deep sense of knowing and recognition with Angelou, which led to a lifelong bond. From a Buddhist perspective, this instant recognition might be seen as the two women reconnecting after many shared lifetimes, each contributing to the other's spiritual journey. This experience of meeting someone and feeling like you've known them forever is not just a coincidence, but may well be a reflection of the deep karmic bonds formed over many lifetimes. The Buddhist view teaches that these connections are not accidental, but are part of the ongoing process of spiritual evolution, as souls continue to meet, interact, and learn from each other across different existences. Recognizing patterns, the key to understanding past lives. The signs discussed above are not just isolated phenomena. They represent patterns that emerge across lifetimes, subtly shaping our present lives in ways that we may not fully understand. Buddhism teaches that by becoming aware of these patterns, whether through fears, dreams, or connections, we can begin to unravel the mysteries of our past and break free from the karmic cycles that bind us. Understanding these signs offers us the opportunity to heal old wounds, transform negative patterns, and cultivate more positive karma for future lives. scientific evidence and case studies, exploring the possibility of reincarnation. Reincarnation, often viewed as a spiritual or philosophical concept, has gained considerable attention in the scientific community, particularly through research conducted by scholars like Dr. Ian Stevenson. His work in the field of parapsychology, particularly his documentation of over 3,000 cases of children who claim to remember their past lives, provides a fascinating foundation for exploring the validity of reincarnation from a scientific perspective. Through these cases, Stevenson uncovered a wealth of compelling evidence that challenges the conventional understanding of consciousness and its relationship to physical death. One of the most well-known and intriguing cases in Stevenson's research involves a young boy named James Leininger, who lived in Louisiana. From a very early age, James began having vivid dreams and nightmares in which he described being a World War II pilot who had died in a plane crash. At the age of 2, James started providing highly specific details about the aircraft he had flown, the name of the ship he served on, and the location of his crash, details that he could not have learned from any sources at such a young age. As his parents conducted research into his claims, they found that the details James provided matched the life of a real pilot named James Houston Jr., who had died during World War II in a manner exactly as the child described. What is particularly compelling about James's case is the precision of the details he provided. He was able to name the type of plane, a Corsair, the aircraft carrier, Natoma Bay, and even the names of fellow pilots. At one point, he even identified photographs of pilots he had never seen before and provided correct details about their lives. The ability of a 2-year-old to access this kind of information raises significant questions about the nature of consciousness. Could it be that our consciousness survives death and can somehow influence the memories and behaviors of our next incarnation? James's case, along with the hundreds of other documented instances that Dr. Stevenson studied, suggests that reincarnation may not be merely a spiritual belief, but a real phenomenon. These cases demonstrate that children, often at very young ages, recall details from past lives with startling accuracy, details that they have no conceivable way of knowing. The child's ability to recount complex personal histories and experiences from a previous life poses an intriguing challenge to the scientific community, especially when these stories are verified through investigation and research. The mystery of consciousness: can it survive death? The possibility that consciousness can survive death is one of the most profound questions raised by the study of reincarnation. In Western science, consciousness is typically viewed as a product of the brain. When the brain dies, so does consciousness. However, some scientists, most notably Roger Penrose, a British physicist and mathematician, suggest that consciousness might exist on a quantum level, independent of the brain. Penrose's theory proposes that consciousness arises from quantum processes that are not fully understood by modern science. These processes, he suggests, might continue beyond physical death, potentially explaining phenomena like reincarnation. Penrose's theory aligns with certain Buddhist teachings, which also hold that consciousness is not limited to the physical body or brain. According to the Buddha, consciousness is a continuous stream, or vijnana, which travels from one life to the next, unbound by the limitations of any single body. This stream of consciousness, according to Buddhist philosophy, is what survives after death, taking with it the imprints of past actions or karma into future lives. This Buddhist view of consciousness as a continuous, unbroken stream is particularly compelling when juxtaposed with the experiences of individuals like James Leininger. If consciousness were simply the result of neural activity in the brain, how could a child describe events and details from a past life that were completely unrelated to his current life? In this sense, the experiences documented by Dr. Stevenson and others seem to support the idea that consciousness may indeed transcend the boundaries of physical existence, echoing the Buddhist notion of reincarnation. Buddhist techniques to access past life memories. In Buddhism, The ability to access memories from past lives is not considered extraordinary, but rather an integral part of the path to enlightenment. The Buddha himself is said to have attained the ability to recall his countless past lives during his enlightenment. This skill, called Pabbanivasana Jnana, or the knowledge of previous existences, is considered one of the three knowledges, Tiso and tilde macron letter 1e47, that an enlightened being can attain. While achieving mastery of this technique requires years of meditation and spiritual discipline, there are simpler methods that practitioners can use to begin exploring past life memories. The goal of accessing past life memories in Buddhism is not merely to satisfy curiosity, but to gain insight into the karmic imprints that influence one's present life. By recognizing these past imprints, a person can begin to break free from the cycles of attachment, suffering, and delusion that bind them. These techniques, when practiced mindfully, are seen as tools for spiritual growth and awakening.